In 1993, there was a little pickup that ran in the pages of Minitruckin Magazine. It was called Ballistic. I guess I'll just start from the beginning. My name is Jeremy. I'm a member of Committed Car and Truck Club. I started this channel in order to see what the passion is behind what we do. We all have a little something that we do with a vehicle, and we all have this drive, this focus and this passion that's led us to this path in life. Mine started a long time ago when my father got me interested in cars. My father always had a tinkering with vehicles, and we had three-wheelers back in the day in the 80s. And when I got a little older, I decided I wanted to build a car. And with my father, I bought a 64.5 Mustang. It was trashed, it was beat up, it was blue, and it needed a lot of work. It had been hit by a tree, and the motor didn't run. It had a straight 6 engine in it. So together we tore the car apart, bought a donor vehicle that had a 302 motor in it, and pulled the motor out, went through and cleaned it all up, put it together. My uncle painted it for us. We pretty much spent about a year and a half basically doing a frame-off restoration on the car. Did the typical teenager thing, lowered it, put some different custom wheels on it. I put an Oakley sticker on the windshield because that was a thing back in the day. And I drove it. I enjoyed that car. I had it about 6 months. Someone crossed the center line, hit my dad when he was going to get pizza, hit my dad head on, and pretty much totaled the car. The guy didn't have insurance, and it was a pretty good loss. So with that, my grandfather was getting rid of a truck he had had since 1981. It was a Toyota pickup, and that was my first entry into a small mini truck. It was a 4-wheel drive. It had a little graphic package on it and a nice interior. I put some big tires on it, went mud riding, but put a little stereo inside of it, did the little custom things that you would do. And I always wanted something kind of low and, just a real cool lowrider type thing. In 1993, there was a little pickup that ran in the pages of Minitruckin Magazine. It was called Ballistic. It was like a pink raspberry color, had a snug top on it. It was body dropped. I mean, it just laid hard. And I was like, man, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I kind of wanted that, it was really cool, but I couldn't afford it at the time. I had life happening. Flash forward years later in my life, when I finally got to the stages of where I could afford to do the things that I didn't get to do in my childhood, I was able to work out a deal and buy a little mini truck, another Toyota. It was the '89 Toyota single cab, which is sitting behind me right now. And it was red, it was body dropped already, had a nice little interior inside of it, but it was a little modern, and I kind of wanted to have the same look of that Ballistic pickup that I had seen in the Minitruckin Magazine way back a long time ago. So little did I know, this little truck behind me, it's been passed a few hands, and it actually had been in the hands of Fester for Fester's Garage. Fester had it with the intentions of turning it into a Ballistic clone and himself. After about a 6-month hunt, I finally found a set of Boyd Deuces. They were brand new in the box, had never been mounted. Found them in a little shop from California. They were still stamped September 1993 on the boxes. I knew I had to have them. That was the wheels for me. When I bought the truck, it had a big hole in the bed that had a lot of tubing work in it, so you could see the tubing. It was kind of a modern thing. I wanted it all closed up, so Patrick went to work and cut the hole back to square, made me a little notch cover, covered the bed back up, and made it nice and clean, and then went through and got the interior back to where I could sit in it, because it had a set of Civic bucket seats in it, and I was just a little too big for that back then. And he painted it in his garage, And that was the best part of this, was, you know, sharing this build with a good friend. I mean, we had a great time. We'd spend late nights and weekends playing with the truck. It took about, I don't know, it was a couple of years back and forth. It was about 6 months sitting in Patrick's garage while we messed with it. But we brought it out. First show, we dropped it at LST back in 2014, I believe. And it looked just like Ballistic. It had what I had in mind, with that orange color, the Boyd deuces, just super clean, and people just stumbling over the truck, couldn't believe it. You know, they thought it was actually the truck from back in the day. And it was like, no, I had this little retro build in mind. So I showed it a little bit longer, about a year or so. I put some chrome fender trim on it and showed it a few shows. And it was fun, but I kind of wanted a little something different. I started talking with Patrick, and I was like, you know, my whole idea was, back in the day, that the graphics were king. I mean, graphics were a big thing to have. And I was like, you know, what if Ballistic had gotten into the graphics game? You know, what if it had, you know, the same kind of graphics we had back in the 90s, with, you know, like scallop paint jobs and checkerboard designs. And Patrick took on that challenge, and he took the truck, and within a few months, he had put down a paint job that just totally blew my mind. My first time seeing it, I was just speechless. I couldn't talk. I was like, wow, this is just totally amazing. So Patrick aptly named the truck Speechless. I mean, it's something, if you can get me quiet, you've accomplished something. So as a nod back to the Cal Concepts trucks back in the 90s, they all had names and had their names, you know, on the back of the trucks. So Patrick put the name of the truck on the tailgate, Speechless. And the theme carries through into the graphics. There's skulls in the graphics, and if you look, all of the skulls, their mouths are covered by the graphics. They're not able to speak. They're speechless. You know, he carried this theme into the interior. The doors, the door panels are all one-off door panels that Patrick built. It's carried into the console. The graphics wrap through the hood. They wrap down the front end. The entire thing it's covered front to back in graphics. The whole dash was pulled. It's a one-off dash. It's built specifically for me. My legs fit into the dash. Everything's kind of molded around me. The seats are molded into the back wall. Patrick built all fiberglass, pretty much the entire interior except for the carpet is fiberglass. We put a sunroof in it, one that I found. They don't make the style anymore, but it's the 3400 series. It's an electric spoiler sunroof, so it slides back just like Ballistic had back in the day. And it was just like a passion project. It was something that it just kept me going. It was, you know, I was going to have this no matter what. So now I've got this truck, I've built it, and I come out, it's a joy to see it. It reminds me of all the fun that I've enjoyed with my friends, going to shows, spending time. You know, with the support of my wife, I couldn't have got through this far. I mean, it was a labor of love. You know, something that I'd always wanted, and I finally have it. So that's what ignites the whole spark in me, and that's why I do what I do. You know, a lot of people that I know, a lot of other friends that are not in this car culture, they look at this and they're like, how can you spend 30 grand on a truck that's worth $2,000? I'm like, you'd never understand it. If you haven't been there, you'd never understand. You know, this truck, it's meant more to me than just a plain vehicle. It's an extension of me. It's part of my life now. It's what it's become. And every time I see it, I think about all of the fun and the joy that it's brought me, and the connections that I've made through the vehicle itself. It's not really about the attention, because I don't care if anyone ever saw it again, but I see it every day, and it reminds me of the passion inside of me and how I feel about vehicles. It's a cumulative of all of my years wrapped up into one vehicle. I've drove all over the country. I've drove all over the place in every custom vehicle that I've had. And it's all about the connection to the car, connection to the vehicle. So with that in mind, this channel that I've started here, we're naming it BuiltToCruise. What we do in life, what we do with our vehicles, we build them to cruise, we build them to drive, we build them for that connection. And that's what this whole thing's about. At that, hopefully we'll bring you some good content. Hopefully we'll get some a lot of cool builders on board and be able to interview some people in the scene and bring some cool footage to it. And hopefully you guys will stay tuned. Thanks for watching.